Hello everyone, Amanda here, thanks for joining me. So today I'm going to just make another form of pretty pocket, but this is very easy, you don't need any special tools to make it. So absolutely anybody who wants to have a go at journaling can have a go. So the basic principle is we're starting with a circle. We're going to make a pocket. Now I'm using a bowl. This measures 6 inches across, and the basic principle is whatever size you want your pocket to be, i.e. the width of what you tuck in it, whatever size you want that to be, you double up for the size of the circle. So for this 6-inch bowl, I'm going to get a 3-inch pocket, which is just a nice size. If I want a 4-inch pocket, I'd have an 8-inch circle. If I want a 5-inch one, so I want it larger, then I'd go to, maybe use a dinner plate. You do also have the option of a good old-fashioned compass. If you're from my generation, you should know how to use one. I just can't find mine. And then to the other side of the extreme, if you want teeny tiny ones, that would maybe go on a paper clip, or you could use as a little embellishment, then you'd use maybe a circular die or even a punch, but I wouldn't do it too small, otherwise they're not going to be fit for purpose. So I'm doing this so that anybody who doesn't have special tools can do it. So I'm using a bowl and a pencil. I've got a piece of this is paper I've printed from the Graphics Fairy, from the Secret Garden bundle, and I've double-sided it on presentation thickness paper, so that's 120 GSM. You can use anything. If your paper's a bit thin, you can line it with book page, you can use double-sided scrapbooking paper, you can make your own paper and decorate the inside, but you're going to be able to see both sides. So it wants to be, a double-sided, whether that's double-sided printing, double-sided scrapbooking, or you decorate the other side of the blank page, you're going to be able to see both. So, I've drawn a circle there, good old fashioned scissors. We're just going to cut this out, okay? And if it doesn't matter, because it's for journaling, don't worry if your eyesight's terrible like mine. My hand-eye coordination's not great, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't need to be absolutely perfect, so as long as you're roughly getting a circle, alright, doesn't matter. You can hide a lot of errors with distress ink, don't worry. Okay, so your paper doesn't have to be too thick, because if it's too thick and bulky, then it won't lie nice and flat. If it's too thin, I don't know, I don't think it matters if it's thin. It'd still work. You just don't want it too thick. I wouldn't make this out of cardstock, for example. I would use paper. So, I've used an A4 sheet, and you might think, oh, well, that's a bit of a waste, but it's going to make a beautiful pocket, and this part here I can use for a tag, so it's absolutely not a waste, okay? So then what you want to do is, if you like to sew, you can sew all the way around, or in fact you might be better waiting until we've done our cutting to do the sewing, because there'll be some little flaps that you might want to sew. So I'm inking all the way around, just because it's easier to do it while it's flat on the deck than when it's folded. And I'm going to do both sides, because you are going to see the other side of the paper, and I'm not too sure exactly where that fold's going to end up, so I'm just going to take 2 minutes to just ink all the way around. Right, so this is not a new idea, this is from card making. There's very little new ideas out there. It's just a case of seeing an idea and adapting it, and redoing it. There's not a lot of brand new ideas out there. So what you want to do now is decide which way you want, which paper you want, showing where. But you can always decide that after. So what we're going to do is we're going to fold. So we've got our circle, that's the way my pattern goes. It's just easier for me if I put it on the side. So we're going to fold roughly to the middle. I'm doing this completely by eye, right? If you are worried about anything, you can measure. That's a little bit too much. You can always measure it with a ruler or a scoreboard if you want. All right, I'm really not too worried. Okay, so I'm just going to roughly and you want these two sides to just touch each other, so they're overlapping, but only just. All right, that'll do for me. That's roughly halfway. Okay, I've not measured it, and we've just got a slight overlap. In fact, it could probably come out a little bit more. It doesn't need to overlap very much. It literally just needs a tidgy bit so you can glue it. And then you go from bottom up, okay, about to the centre, roughly. And this is why you don't want to use cardstock, because then this bit would start and get bulky, and you'd get weird creases, and you'd get frustrated. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to unfold everything. All right, and you'll see that you've got two little triangles at each side. And what we're going to do is we're going to just cut along from the outer kind of edge, I suppose, in to that score line there. We're just going to cut a slit. We're not cutting it away, we're using all of it, but we're just going to cut across. So get some sharp scissors, have a look for that score line and cut across. Okay, and the same at the other side. And stop at that score line, and that then releases those little bits there. Okay, so then what you want to do is have a little bit of a play. So that's going to fold, overlap each other. That's going to fold up. You might just want to rescore and readjust at this point, and then these are going to come inwards. So it's at this point you want to decide which way you want your paper. Yeah, and if you decide that you want a different paper showing on the outside there, then just turn it round and fold it the other way. I'm happy with that. I think that looks pretty. Okay, don't worry if it's a little bit uneven, if these don't meet, because you know you folded it by eye. It really does not matter. You can always readjust it if it's worrying you, and just refold. Paper will refold. It's quite forgiving. Okay, so then what you want to do is get some glue. A very small amount here, very small amount. Don't be blobbing it all over, or else it'll stick the whole thing together, and you don't want that. So a tiny amount there, so that those two just literally touch each other. Okay, just slip something down the back to make sure you've not glued it shut. That's fine. And then what you want to do is you want to put a line of glue down each side there, very thin bead, very thin, as tiny a bead as you can. Otherwise, you know, you're restricting what space is in your pocket. So very, very tiny. But I would use glue, don't use tape, because tape then, you'll find that when you're putting things in, it'll get stuck on the tape. So that's your glue there. And then these little flaps here also want glue in. Alright, so a tiny bit of glue there. Again, as little as possible, as thin a bead as you can manage, because you don't want loads of glue, otherwise it'll restrict the size of your pocket. Glue that down, give that a press, okay, and then at this point you can start and decorate if you want. Now on my ones that I've done, I've added a little bit of lace, because I've got loads of this, so it's just very thin, so I'm just adding a thin line of glue to the bottom there, and I'm going to add this very delicate lace. You don't have to add lace if you don't have any. You could, if you've got any punchers that do fancy borders, you could punch some paper and add that on the bottom. You can leave it plain. You could add a bit of fabric. You could do whatever you like. You don't have to do anything. You can just leave it as it is. Okay. Right, so now you have got your pocket. Now you can either add this to the side of a book with a paper clip, or do what I'm going to do, which is glue it direct into my journal, or you know, it can slip inside another larger pocket. It can be a floating pocket, they're calling them, aren't they, which just means they're movable. Or you can have it as a fixed pocket, which means you glue 1, 2, 3 sides. If you have it as a fixed pocket, you are going to end up with 5 available tucks. I'm going to show you how. So if that's glued in, let me get some ephemera. Where are we? I could do with one of these. So, I don't have any. Oh, there we go. So if that's glued in, that's one at the back. Okay. Then you've got one there. That's 2. Then you've got one there, that's 3, and then you've got these two at the front. That's 4 and 5. Okay, so let me just get some smaller ephemera. There we go, 5. All right, so I'm just going to start and put some things in here that I actually want. So I've got that little bird there, and these are perfect for your little cut-out ephemeras from your kits. I just cut them out of paper. I'll probably back them with book paper later, but they're just interesting little bits and bobs for the recipient of the journal to look at, and you can just write little secret things on the back. Okay, so I would glue that in like so. I'll show you another one that I've already done. Well, I've got 2 that I've already done. So here are some that I've already done with little mini ephemeras in, and we've got the little bee postcard here, which is a freebie at the moment on the Graphics Fairy site. So yeah, great. So that is 3 inches. That will hold a 3-inch tag. I haven't got any larger tags. Let me have a look. There we go. It will hold one of these larger, you know, these larger journal tags that we all kind of use. Okay. All right. Or down the back. Okay, so that you've got more. Has that glued itself shut, that one? Okay, that's fine. That one in there. Or down the back. Okay, so there you go. Pretty pockets, just from little circles. Each one has 5 little tuck spots. Go and have some fun. Anybody can do them. No special tools needed. Thanks for watching. Bye.